What is happening, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Scarfey Spurs Talk Podcast. I'm joined by a great panel for today. Firstly, Callum, how you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Thanks for having me back on, and let's talk some Spurs.
Yeah, let's talk some Spurs indeed. Back after the international break. Liam, for your debut on the channel, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me on. And yeah, I look forward to talking more about Tottenham and sort of what we're getting up to these days.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for coming on. Should be good. And Lois, thank you very much for coming on. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for having me on. I guess as well. I guess. I mean, I love doing these. So I mean, I don't really care if I get messaged 15 minutes before. I'm happy to jump on.
Yeah, I will say apologies to Callum and Lois for giving the last minute call up. I mean, I had 3 people drop out in the last 15-20 minutes of going live. All got very good reasons, so we do wish them all the best. Obviously, various situations, but the show must go on. It's been a little bit difficult because I meant to have a City fan on, and I had some fun activities planned this evening, with also the focus being on City. But sometimes that's the way it goes. It's out of control. But what is in control is about talking about our amazing sponsors in the Kitman and Security VPN. So do check them both out. We thank them as always for continuing to sponsor the new show as we slowly come to the end of a year as well. It's quite scary thought, but if you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It's free to do so. It helps the channel grow if you're listening on a podcast platform. Don't forget to drop us a follow and a 5-star review. So before we get into Manchester City, I want to kick it off with a couple of news headlines that are currently doing the rounds, if you like, on social media, and do a quick season review. So Callum, I'll start with you. Rodrigo Bentancur. Today, he's been given a 7-game ban for using a racial slur in the past about Heung-min Son on a media interview, plus a £100,000 fine for a breach of FA Rule E3 in relation to a media interview. He can still play in the Europa League for Tottenham, but no domestic games are allowed. For people who don't know, Bentancur will miss Manchester City away, Fulham at home, Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, Southampton away, Man United at home, Liverpool at home. So there are some big fixtures in there he's missing. Callum, is it the right decision to punish him?
There's definitely a punishment that was needed. There was definitely a line that he crossed. I don't think he should have been exempt from that, but I think all the rulings that have come out about it have been very mismatched, because obviously Enzo Fernandez did something at the same time, taking the P out of the French national team and all their players of African descent, and it completely went awry for that. But because Bentancur was on international duty, but then doing it for a special news channel, whereas Enzo did it for the Argentine FA, he gets penalised by FIFA on that, and Bentancur gets a nice loophole where they can do him under FA rulings for it. So it's definitely not. There's no consistency in these rulings, and E3 is one of the biggest load of crap breaches that they can do people on. And to be honest, it's when the Premier League is that powerful that it's actually outmatched the FA. When the FA gets a chance to have a go at a player, they will take it. But if you do look at what people have been saying today, and even the journalists and other teams, they've all said that most likely there will be an appeal that goes in, and they're going to have a field day with it. And to be honest, if the Premier League or the FA lose more stuff, then they're going to have teams in uproar, because to go for 7-game ban, taking this long to make a verdict judgment on it as well, and then there's rooms to appeal. There's so many loopholes in this case that I feel like it could be thrown out or going for maybe a 4-game ban, something like that. But there's no consistency with it at all.
That's the problem with this. I think we can all kind of recognise what he's done is wrong, but I think where there is debate is on the severity, of the punishment and also the consistency. So Lois, I'll come to you next. Is it over the top, would you say?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, there's a fine line with this sort of thing. I mean, you can't condone what he said. I mean, what he said was wrong, and I wouldn't be too happy if it was said to me about me. You wouldn't be happy about it. So, I can understand why the FA go after him for that. I mean, I completely agreed that he should be going after that for that. The fine, £100,000 fine, yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I do think 7-game ban is a bit, I mean, over the top. I mean, especially as Son is all right with what he says. I mean, Son himself hasn't really got any grievances with it himself. Like, he's not too fussed about it anymore. Like, they apologise, everything's good. So I think for the FA to give a 7-match ban for something that wasn't even a Premier League incident because it was done on international duty, I'm pretty sure, it is a little harsh. But I mean, look, it is what it is. I would say arguably our best midfielder this season, so that's brilliant. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we always have to shoot ourselves in the foot, don't we? So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We absolutely do. Liam, I'll come to you next. What are your thoughts on the verdict that's announced today? Obviously, we're expecting it. What we'd heard in the last few days. Does it come as a surprise to you, though, that it's 7 games?
Not really. In terms of what was rumoured before, I think it's even a few weeks ago, it was rumoured it was going to be sort of 7 games or something around that type of figure. I'm not surprised what the eventual result was of 7 games. And ultimately, I agree with the harsh punishment. It might seem harsh, but at the end of the day, racism is completely unacceptable in football in all forms. So yeah, that he can't be saying those type of things, whether it's sarcastically, a joke or whatever. It's unacceptable. So ultimately, he's right to be punished, and he's got to sort of learn from that, and hopefully, obviously, doesn't happen going forward. And ultimately, I also see it as an opportunity for players like Archie Gray to perhaps step up and sort of fill the void whilst he's out.
Yeah, definitely. I think you got Sam. I try and look at the positives of it. I think the frustration is that the Enzo Fernandez and things like that in terms of consistency. I totally, that does frustrate me, and also that they've decided to do it now as we approach a busy Christmas period with lots of games, lots of important games, rather than the start of the year. But that's the way it is. But as Lois mentions, maybe the FA shouldn't have got involved at all. I don't know. So everyone has a different opinion on it. And I think we all agree that what he said wasn't right, but how it's dealt with, I think you can debate. But what we'll move on to next is the second topic that is doing the rounds today, and that is out absolutely nowhere. I think it was anyway. Tottenham announced they're removing the Tottenham Hotspur bit underneath our logo in the iconic Spurs font. Right, how do we see this? Right, Lois, I'll start with you. Because for me, I'm gonna be totally honest with you, and I put my thoughts completely aside with the ownership. Does it feel to you that they're trying to remove Tottenham Hotspur from the club, trying to make it like more sellable to a wider audience? That's how I view it. I feel that Tottenham's being taken away a little bit here. Or am I overthinking it?
I don't know. I feel like Orange were just a bit bored, to be honest. I mean, I don't really know. I don't. What is the point of this? I don't understand. I mean, what is achieved from getting rid of Tottenham Hotspur underneath? What's the achievement in that? I don't understand. To try, they say to try and make our brand more recognisable. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, if you show me the Tottenham cockerel, I know it's Tottenham Hotspur. I don't have to look at the bit underneath to know it's Tottenham. But
surely it's more. You know it more with the name, so it doesn't make sense what they've done.
I don't know. It's just trying to be simplistic and try and be. It's not a change though. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the shirt I've got on now, if they went back to that, I wouldn't mind that. I minded that, but like, I mean, it's the same thing though. It's not. I mean, some people said the navy's got a bit darker. Oh, win that is. But I don't know what the point of it was. And they've done a new silhouette version. I mean, what's the point of this? It's the most useless thing. Instead of putting their mind to a badge change, which is unnecessary, why don't you think of maybe investing in the squad and getting, maybe helping the players out, or like helping Andrew? I don't know. What is the changing of the club badge really at the top of the agenda right now? It really is not.
So just looking here, Tottenham's new logo and brand logo. Just having a look at it. They've removed the Tottenham Hotspur text underneath and made it bolder. I think it looks awful, if I may say so. I'm just looking at it here. I really don't like it. In this picture I've got here, it's all coloured in white, and I can't distinguish that from a children's drawing. But it may not be that, or it may not be as bad as I'm just looking here. I haven't seen the picture, by the way, before that I'm looking at. But Liam, I'll come to you. What are your thoughts on the club doing this. Can you understand why they've done it? Or do you think they, I don't know, try and cover up the Bentacle thing? I've heard people try and say today. Do you buy into any of that?
I've actually not heard that one, but in terms of removing Spurs from the logo, don't really get it. Of sort of like you said earlier, I don't really get the purpose. I also feel like our symbol is used throughout the squad anyway. It's not on kits. You find just the Spurs badge. It's not like people wouldn't know what that was. People know that's a Spurs emblem. It's often used on its own. So obviously we can look at that. We can also look at how the badge used to be historically. See, it used to look very different to perhaps how it does now.
But why change it now? That would be my question. Why now, all of a sudden, out of the blue?
Well, obviously, how reliable this is, I don't know. But if I look at sort of when we've changed our badges previously, sort of 1999, 2006, the badge changed. Then 2006, 2013, that was a different badge. 2013 till now, see, that was the current badge, which wasn't much different. So I guess maybe they just felt it was time for a refresh. Maybe an era of kits, perhaps. I don't know.
Maybe. I just find it really strange more than anything.
Do you mean an era of kits or an era of crap?
Well, ultimately, I guess from a club perspective, if we're going for this younger model and this is what we're going for, perhaps they're embarking on a new generation and they want to mark that with a new badge. I don't know. I'm hopeful thinking, let's be honest here.
Yeah, I get that. But for me, if you're going to go for a design, you might as well completely regenerate it, if you like. Not, yeah, but we've just got something and kind of, for me, scribbled on it, taken away some text, made it fatter, and here we go. It's a new logo. I would have rather been a bit different, like Villa. You change the whole shape of it, for example. I don't know. I'm all for
look like the Chelsea
trying new things, but yeah. It just for me looks.
It looked like the Chelsea badge, that big one.
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, but if you look at it, it looks like they don't use it. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. It seems confusing. Has in the YouTube chat says more marketing stuff to take Spurs more away from football. I've seen a lot of people kind of say that. Callum, is I don't know if the outrage is the right word, but reaction to this that we've seen on social media necessary? I mean, it did come out the blue.
Well, yeah, it came out of the blue, convenient on the day of the Bentancur stuff. And to be honest, no one's had to talk Spurs for nearly 2 weeks. So, I mean, realistically, that's what you get with fickle fans. We'll jump up and down and we'll make a complaint about something. I mean, like everyone's saying, it's a waste of time. Someone in Spurs' media or design team have decided that they want to rebrand or recreate. I mean, ultimately, I just think it's saying take Tottenham Hotspur out of Tottenham Hotspur. Maybe we'll get rid of the Spursy tag by getting rid of it. It's never going to happen. It's completely pointless, to be honest. I mean, the badge goes on the shirt. Simple as that. You don't have Tottenham Hotspur written under the badge anyway. So we're already halfway there with using just the badge and the symbol on its own. So it's just the fact that it says Tottenham Hotspur on some merchandise compared to others. I think it's just a pointless media exercise, which is just another. It's like Has said, it's another way of Spurs detracting away from what they should focus on instead of building hotels. Probably next we're going to get a new Cineworld next to the stadium or something like that. They'll put the Tottenham Hotspur name, Tottenham Hotspur Cineworld. There you go. They'll take that off the badge and put it on there. It's just completely.
I think it'd be Stadium Bowl Cinema, the first bowl Cineworld in the world. I reckon
something related to NFL and all that. But no, I mean it's just another media. It's a PR exercise which people will just take the P out of because we are literally just so used to looking at it. And then what doesn't help is that also today the article came out about the Athletic put out saying about how much compared to success on the pitch the club's invested in it when we're meant to be one of the highest tiered clubs in the world and we're ranked 5th bottom in the Premier League. So it's just a culmination of crap which just falls. It always falls on the same day. Then you have Vicario last night getting pelters for not being able to save free kick hat-trick or an own goal. It's comical. It's like a circus now. And that's why we're all on here, because we love supporting a circus.
That article surprised me. I think I saw Nottingham Forest in the bottom 5, which surprised me a lot.
Yeah.
I thought they would be much higher, because
I thought Maradacas put quite a lot of money in, didn't he, and all that.
Yeah, I thought
so I was very surprised.
Be up there. Interesting to see how that article kind of works, but no, that's really interesting. We discussed those two things. Obviously, they both come out today. I mean, it never is quiet supporting Spurs. We mentioned Vicario there. I mean, yesterday I turned it on to watch the game, and we were 100 seconds in, first corner of the game, and Vicario concedes. I thought, oh, give me a break. And then I saw later, and it's not saying it's his fault at all, but then it goes down as if it's an own goal. I thought, right, I'm not watching that. I do this every week. But we'll move on to a Spurs season review so far after 11 Premier League games. We got 16 points from those 11 Premier League games. We sit in 10th place, bang smack in the middle. Callum, I'll start with you. Let's start with the positives. Who's been your player of the season so far after 11 games?
You want positives and you've come to me. Are you taking the mick?
Well, that was a mistake.
No, to be fair, I think standout player for me has got to be maybe Kulusevski or Johnson. I think them two have been my standout performers for this year. They've really stepped their game up. And having a winger who can actually score and someone else in the middle who can be creative, also be an outlet for goals as well, I think has been really positive.
Yeah, two really good players there. I'm in agreement with you on both of them, actually. Liam, since it's your debut on the show, I want to get your thoughts on the player of the season. Who's impressed you?
So I think so far, like most people, I think Kulusevski's probably been our standout player of the season so far. But the player who's probably impressed me most is probably Solanke. And that's because he came in, obviously big price tag, but I feel he makes our other attackers perform to a better level. So I think Johnson wouldn't have got his goals or his contributions without Solanke essentially being that front man who can play him a pass, can take up defenders, and he adds that like high pressing energy, constantly runs, obviously vital for Andrew's system. Also, I think he's the player who's impressed me the most. Of course, there's other standouts, like I've liked Mickey when he's on the pitch generally. But then again, we sort of expect that. I've been impressed with Bentancur as well this season. I've long held that he's probably our best 6 in the side. And yeah, I think there have been impressive performances. But I also think there's been games where literally no one's turned up or hardly anyone's decided to turn up. And Sar's also a good one. I just saw in the comments. He's also
a really
impressed
good
me.
one.
He's stepped up big time. I was very critical of him last season. That he doesn't get forward enough, he doesn't contribute enough. But this season he's sort of picked that up and seems to sort of be growing to the side. So yeah, I think there's been a few good players, but at the same time, there's been some very poor performances.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a real mix, isn't there? Maddison, I would say, up until probably recently, has had a good start to the season. But for me, I don't want to suspect Clay or anything, but maybe something could have gone wrong behind the scenes to see that drop off in performance. But at the end of the day, Kulusevski's the better 10 at the moment, is outperforming him. So it could just be that when Maddison come on, like Villa gets that goal. So for me, he's been good in moments, but consistency is always with him. He does the big talk, but it's always about producing consistently on the pitch. One individual I want to focus on, I suppose, moving into slightly more negative, because after all, we are 10th place. We've lost as many games as Ipswich. So I think these discussions do need to be had. Lois, let's start with you on this one. Christian Romero. Some people are saying that he has had a bad start to the season. So I want to get your thoughts on that. But as we speak, he's come back early from international duty because he got injured. I mean, he should have never gone in the first place, should he? Who passed him fit?
I have no idea who passed the fit. Probably the same people who in the Champions League, I think, was it 2017-18? Jan Vertonghen threw up on the sideline, he went back on. Well, I don't know if you still have them. I don't know, but I don't know. Romero is. I mean, I love Romero. I mean, he's in my name, isn't he? But he hasn't had a great start to the season. Let's be honest. I don't know. I mean, he's very mixed. I mean, I think Romero is the epitome of Tottenham this season. one game you're absolutely fantastic, the next game doesn't look like you know how to play football. I mean, that's what Spurs have been this season. We're so inconsistent; it's unbelievable. Like you can turn over Aston Villa, and yet you can't even beat Ipswich at home. I don't see how that transpires. But I mean, Romero as a whole, I love him. I think he's a great player, but he's not as rash as people would have made him out to be a few years ago. I feel like he's probably learned a lot, and he's kind of maybe a bit more cautious in his approach. But if he hasn't got Mickey van der Ven to bail him out, then him and Dragusin are just two people I did not want to see pair next to each other anymore, because it doesn't go well. It does not bode well. And I mean, to be honest, I don't know how Ben Davies doesn't get any more minutes, because I actually quite like Ben Davies. I think he's quite reliable. I mean, people look at him and think, oh, well, you're in your 30s, you've been at a club for 10 years, you've probably done absolutely nothing. But I actually think Ben Davies might go down as one of the most underrated Spurs players, because he never lets you down. And why do we not give him more game time? I'll never know.
No, I think you make a very good point. Liam, I mean, Lois mentions there about the partnership of Romero and Dragusin. What have you made of it in the short period of time you've seen it? Is it as bad as some people make out?
I don't think it's as bad as what people make out, but I think Ange's system relies on a very, very, very quick centre-back. And I guess it's a vulnerability of the system that Van der Ven isn't there. Van der Ven is perfect for his system. He scouted him at Celtic, but obviously didn't get him at Celtic, then obviously brought him to Spurs. And ultimately, without Dragusin and Radu doesn't hit the pace of Van der Ven. Like, no one does. No one in the Premier League has Van der Ven's pace. He's the fastest player in the Premier League. He needs to rely on positioning, and one thing that Ange's system doesn't allow is for mistakes. And yeah, I would like to see more of Davis as well. I feel Radu, when I've seen him play, especially when he first joined Spurs, which is quite difficult to tell when they first join, I'm not very confident with his ball playing ability when I first saw him, and it's been shown up very much this season. His ball playing isn't great. I definitely don't want to see him on the left again. And then that takes Romero out the right-hand side. So, yeah, ultimately, I don't think it's a good position to be in. Additionally, you asked earlier who approved Romero to go to Argentina. I reckon Romero approved Romero to go to Argentina. He's the type of, he loves his country, clearly. I don't think he would, even he's got a minor knock, I don't think he's saying, I'm not going. I think he would go unless he literally couldn't make it on that pitch. So...
he's very much country over club, isn't he? Calamy, are you club over country? I get the impression.
Yeah, hands down, mate. I think it seems to be quite a running joke with all the Spurs guys who have played for Argentina. It always seems to be that they're injured for 6 weeks, but then when international break comes around, oh well, look, I've had my steroids, I'm up and jumping, I'm ready to play for whatever World Cup winning team it is. So I mean, yeah, club over country for me. I might not be passionate like a lot of other fans are, but to be honest, it's when you do see someone like Romero. I mean, I think we had this conversation a couple of weeks back where I said that his head had been turned. I definitely think his head has been turned by other clubs, and that he is constantly looking to perform on the world stage, not a club level. That's the thing. And what doesn't help is that when you play him and Dragusin together, you've got two Shire horses trying to go in the same direction with about as much mobility as a tugboat. So, I mean, it really doesn't inspire confidence when you've got someone so good as Mickey. I mean, Jamie O'Hara said this week, he would say that he could walk into Man City's team hands down into their back four. And yet when people look at Romero and Dragusin, they think, are they actually that good when Mickey's not clearing up after them? That's the problem.
Yeah, I suppose we'll never know, really. And it's the whole Spurs-Arsenal defender debate, isn't it? I think Romero personally would as well. I think he's going through a rough patch. I think every player does experience it. Obviously, he's had a lot with Spurs. But Dragusin, I actually think, is a decent defender there. I don't think in this system, but I think he has an agent that is constantly putting pressure on him because of what he says. I know he's infuriated, isn't he? But when you hype someone up like that, you're putting pressure on your own client to perform, surely.
His agent is the most annoying person I think I've ever seen in my life, by the way.
I think that agent needs to be put down. The agent needs to be put down with extreme prejudice. He's an
He's saying
absolute dick. He's just a dick. He don't shut up.
He's saying that Dragusin is using us as a stepping stone club. Yeah, Ben Davies would outperform you, mate. I'm not having it. Honestly, I'm not having it. But the thing is with Dragusin, he's more of a classic, I would say, like old school defender.
Old school, no nonsense. Yeah.
But I say no nonsense. But against Ipswich, there was nonsense going about with that goal. in that second goal, there was a lot of nonsense going about. Like, I mean, he's annoying because like you look at him and like against what happens in the Euros for Romania, you're arguably their best player. Shock. Then you come to Spurs and what happens? You look like you don't know how to play football. It was annoying because I quite liked him when he first joined. I thought, all right, we actually have a good defender. I like it because we've used the Serie A. I like a lot of our players that have come from the Serie A, and I'm like, all right, we're dipping into the Serie A again with Dragusin. And I'm like, all right, this could be good. He could be a good backup for Romero. But no, I don't. Maybe I guess he's playing on the left a lot, and he's probably favoured his right side, so maybe I can understand it a bit. But he's still just, I don't know. He had a very, very rough last 3 games, and his agent is probably getting humbled right now. His agent's been getting humbled the last few weeks.
That's got quiet, hasn't he?
Well, yeah. He's come out. He's come out this week and gone, oh, well, end of last week, he came out and went, oh, yeah, he's happy now. He's happy now. Yeah, probably because all the scouts that have been there watching him have seen he's had really crap games. So that's why they've gone, no, we're not really interested at the moment. They've probably.
Things you mentioned about Radu, he's going from a system at Genoa, which is nothing like the Spurs system. It's
3-back.
It's not even remotely similar. Like, it's not, the same requirements are not there. The one thing I have been really disappointed with him in is attacking set pieces. I don't understand. I don't feel like he ever gets his head on the ball. I don't think he's even close to the ball a lot of the time. So I'm a bit disappointed. He hasn't scored from a set piece. And I know maybe that's a bit far-fetched considering he hasn't played a whole lot, but I expected more from attacking set pieces.
Yeah,
you're not
absolutely.
wrong.
He's played a few recently. Yeah.
Romero seems to score more set piece goals. Let's put it that way. He always seems to pop up there instead of doing his actual job. But I mean, was Radu the centre part of a back 3? Wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how they set up. But yeah, generally he's played on the right or the middle. But he's completely different system. Like, it's not even remotely the same as what we currently play. So to expect him to come in and adapt instantly, I think is too far-fetched. And maybe that's a weakness in our scouting system that maybe we expected. He's still only young, although he looks a bit older and he's obviously built, he's big. He's only young. He's like 22, I think. So he's got lots of time.
Yeah, when you say it like that, that's actually really true. I think it's really easy to forget that. Putting two together, maybe, but because of the system, will Man United look for Dragusin maybe in January or in the summer? Considers a back 3 under Amaron. Obviously, Johnny Evans, we've got age in, Harry Maguire, they might want to shift. And I still think they haven't quite filled their centre-back issues. De Ligt doesn't seem to quite early days, of course, but suit the Premier League, I don't think, and certainly not the United system at this moment in time. So I wonder if that will be something we see. We'll have to see how the window kind of goes on. But before we move on to Ange and kind of his future and recapping the season in terms of results, has Spurs says here in the YouTube chat, Van de Ven is the only player we have that can get in a top 3-4 Premier League side in the Premier League. I see this quite a lot, and I think we don't have this discussion. It's just kind of you hear 2 people make a point either way, and we never really put forward good points. So do any of you here strongly disagree with what Haz is saying? It'd be interesting to see what we're thinking.
I don't think he's the only player.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't strongly disagree, but I might disagree slightly.
I think Van de Ven gets into most top 3 sides.
Yeah. What do you think, Liam? Who else would you say would get in the top 3-4
I think starting 11, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
I think
easiest,
I think Udogie, given his age, gets into most squads in the Premier League. I know he's not been always great this season, but I think he's young. He's got a lot of potential. I think he gets into most sides. I think Kulusevski on his day, I think under a manager like Pep could thrive. I think Solanke gets into Arsenal. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They don't really have a striker. I think Son, he's world class. I know maybe obviously there's debate around how good he is now, but I think realistically he could get into a lot of sides as well. They're the standout ones for me so far.
Okay, well, that's interesting to hear. Callum, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'd probably echo what the guys have said. I'd say probably Solanke, Son, Udogie, maybe Porro, if he worked on his defensive game, could probably get in. But then you still got, you've got Arnold, White, Walker, so maybe not. So, yeah, there's not that many. And Maddison, you'd say on his day, could be. The problem is his day comes around every 12 months and all that, or he's injured for half of it. So there's not really. And I mean, before Vicario started becoming flappy hands when it came to corners and set pieces, we was all saying that Vicario was one of the best keepers last year and rivaling everyone because he was doing better than Raya on paper. But now when you
I still have him over keepers like Sanchez though for Chelsea. I think he has even more mistakes per game.
Mate, I think I've got a bag of dog poo over Sanchez. Let's put it that way. So I mean, he's just an awful keeper. I don't know what they saw when they got him, who scouted him, but compared to people like Alisson, Edison, Raya, I think even though Nana seems at least able to catch a ball, Vicario doesn't seem to be able to at the moment. So I definitely think there's a desired side to his game. So, yeah, there's not many.
I think has a point, but I think there is more than Van der Ven. I think it's a slightly pushing, and maybe making the argument a little bit invalid, but you're all entitled to your own opinion. But next, I want to move on to Ange Postecoglou. Should he be under pressure, Liam?
Yeah. And the reason for that isn't so much because of some of the results, I guess. But at the end of the day, we've lost to Ipswich and Crystal Palace. And in my opinion, as a top manager, you should always be under pressure. It's unacceptable to be at a top club and lose 5 games already into the season. So, yeah, of course, he should always feel pressure. I don't care if I think he said the quote himself, it's you're either sort of on your way up or on your way down, and things aren't ever as bad as they seem. So ultimately, as a manager, you should always be under pressure. And I actually did some stats earlier today when I was sort of looking at some data, and based on the results last season versus the results this season, the points we accumulated, I think we're at net zero. So we've net actually not gained any points on last season on the same fixtures, which is pretty interesting, I think. Obviously, we've beaten West Ham this season, but in comparison to, we didn't lose to Crystal Palace last season. He should be under pressure. I'm not out though. Just to be clear.
It's important to note that. No, I think you're right though. Any manager, any club, especially big clubs, should be under pressure. I think that's completely right. Maybe the wrong way for me to word it. Lois, for you, still fully behind Ange, but obviously accept that he's not innocent in all of our problems so far this season. You're on mute. Lois, you're on mute.
Sorry, my apologies. I said I was saying that the only manager who should never be under pressure is Pep Guardiola for obvious reasons. I think he could lose the next 15 games. He's unsackable. But
another one is Kieran McKenna with Ipswich after what he's done. I think he's the one to add to Guardiola list. Maybe.
I mean, Chris Wilder brought up Sheffield United 2 back-to-back, and he wasn't given too much time. But
I think he should have.
Yeah, maybe. But I know I have to be fully behind Ange because there's no if sacking him doesn't solve anything. I mean, because then if you bring in a manager who plays a completely different system, you have to give them a few windows to buy the players they want to play.
Back to square one.
Yeah, you're back to square one, and it's a whole rigmarole system. I mean, he's the best manager we've had since Mauricio Pochettino, and that's a fact. Well, it's not a fact; it's an opinion. But I mean, I mean, whether you know, other people share the same opinion as me, I think they should. But I mean, I can't really feel it's that kind of. But we played. It's the best football we've played since Pochettino. I think everyone could agree with that. But
I'd hope so.
I would hope so. I hope everyone agrees, unless they want to watch 11 clowns try and defend their own half. I mean, I don't know. But no, we have to be fully behind Ange. I don't know. It's hard because we sometimes we look so good, and you're watching the football thinking, wow, we can actually do really big things under Ange. And then sometimes you watch it like, you're watching them and you're like, why we just can't defend, or we look pointless going forward. We can't spread the play out to the wings, like and our passing sometimes. But against Galatasaray away, we couldn't string two passes together. I mean, it's really odd and it's really weird. But I feel like he has to be given to the end of the year, not even to the end of Christmas. He has to be given to the end of the year. I mean, I'm still and I'm probably under the impression that I don't care where we finish in the Premier League, as long as we win the Europa League, he has to stay. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm fully with you on that. It's a trophy for me, and you give him that little bit longer. 11 Premier League games in, I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. We haven't been good this season, there's no doubt about it. And reality is only 3 wins on the road this calendar year in the Premier League. Is it good enough? Losing the same amount of games to Ipswich isn't good enough. We haven't been consistent enough. It isn't good enough. I accept that, but I don't think, as you say there, sacking Ange solves anything right now. We just go back to square one. And the irony of people saying, we haven't won a trophy in 16 years, we need to win a trophy, but want to get rid of Ange, that for me just sets us back. So I don't think you can argue both those things in the same fight, both in the same corner. But Callum, Ange Postecoglou, how are you feeling on him?
I think there's still a lot to be desired with him. I think we are definitely the makers of our own downfall whenever we play his style. And that's the problem, because I don't think he is adaptable enough. And I don't think he's earned the right, like how Pep is. His methods aren't proven at the top stage. There is always room to improve. And I think that he is very stubborn when it comes to it. I think he's got, like everyone said, till the end of the season to try and see where we are. We are in this project. I mean, it's whether the club decide that they're okay for another yes man. And the problem is, last season, I really enjoyed listening to Ange because I thought he was proper fight back. He was like, this is what we're doing. This year, I think he's become a mouthpiece. I think he's become a proper yes man for the club quite a lot of the time, especially in the last couple of weeks where he has literally bowed down for everything. So I'd miss that sort of tenacity and that aggressive side from him. He feels, it looks like Spurs have finally ruined Ange and just got him into the way of just being, oh yeah, he's their manager, he'll keep going and do what Daniel Levy wants him to. So I think that if he's adaptable and if he improves and actually shows that he wants to do stuff and stop making silly decisions and being adaptable in games, but also pre-games, then I think we'll be all right under him, at least for another 6 to 8 months. But it's then about the club backing him. And if he just goes along and says that he's going to stick with it and persist with how he is, then
that's fine. But he puts pressure on himself, doesn't he, by doing that? He puts,
yeah.
He doesn't. He shouldn't throw himself under the bus and kind of Mourinho Conte kind of did. I'm not asking for that. But when you say these are my signings, I'm happy, then you create your own problem when things don't go your way.
Exactly, that's the thing. So is he going to stand up and take responsibility for it, or is he going to fall on his sword and go, I'll just go back to the Scottish League, or I'll go back to Japan to do stuff? And that's one of the fears, because there's no one out there who I think should replace him. I mean, if you're going to go English manager, maybe McKenna, but he's apparently disillusioned with Spurs. I would have taken Amorim if you was to replace him, but there's no one out there. Do you then go back to the same old stuff and start a cycle again? I mean,
well, the rumor is Iraola, right?
I like
Iraola. Yeah, the one from Bournemouth, and then obviously then. Ironically, we sacked Nuno, and now he's sitting second or third in the Premier League at the moment as well. So I mean, bloody hell, how does that look? Now we sack him, gets manager a month, and now
I think he's got a really good team at Forest. I thought the other day I looked at that Forest team and I thought, oh my goodness, how are they up there? But then I looked at him they have a solid goalkeeper. They have a solid back line, 2 centre-backs that work in partnership. One goes, one stays. They have 2 full-backs that really suits the way Nuno wants to play. They have who does the dirty work in midfield in Ryan Yates, which we had in Højbjerg, who I really did admire. Gibbs White, the creator. Alango Hudson-Odoi for the pace, and a typical number 9, should I say, in Chris Wood, which Nuno wants. So if you think about it, they've got a tick in pretty much every position. And it just clicks together nicely. Of course, that team is overachieving as we speak, but it's quite funny because people like a shock defeat against Newcastle, but it's not a shock defeat. They've started the season really well. We would have been expected to lose against Newcastle. Coming into the season, Newcastle had aimed to be back in the top 6. Forest aims to stay in the league. It's not a surprise result. It's just a surprise that based on up until what we've seen so far. But talking of Ange Postecoglou, I'm going to play a little clip that he is, of him after the Ipswich loss, because I don't think he's suited these post-match interviews. I think they catch him out, and I don't think he has a lot of time to prepare.
It's just down to me. Obviously, I'm not getting the consistent performance that I need to out of the players, and it's something I need to address.
So it's not the players that take the responsibility today? You think it's down to you?
Well, I'm the person in charge, that's usually the way it goes, so I take responsibility when our performances don't meet the level they should.
There we go. Interesting. He does take full responsibility. I don't quite know if he's talking to his shoes or the floor or the interviewer, but that is what Ange Postecoglou had to say. Callum, is he right to take responsibility after Ipswich loss? It's what you want, isn't it, from a manager? You don't want throwing them under the bus. We've seen this time and time again under recent managers. He's taking responsibility. Whether he's going about it the right way or not, it's very clear that it's on him.
Yeah, I think it's what you want to hear when a manager does take responsibility for it. And ultimately, it was his fault because the subs that he did make were atrocious. And when he did make them was even more scandalous. 84 minutes. I mean, I don't know what it is, but he's got the same habit that Conte had. Make subs at 75 or 90 minutes when games are gone and all that. So, yeah, he had to do it. But, I mean, I don't know whether someone was shining his shoes while he was having that done. I don't know whether there was a fly on his foot, whether he'd stepped in dog doo-doo in the stadium. Who knows? But, I mean, the fact that he couldn't make eye contact with the reporter was just stupid and all that. And I think he knew that he dropped the ball that day. So, yeah, too right he had to take responsibility. But it wasn't just him. It was the players who did play crap. But if he's not inspiring the players to go ahead and do stuff, then too right he should. He needs to step up. And I don't think he does enough of it, to be honest, half the time, because he is just such a fickle manager. He's so set in his ways.
He's certainly stubborn. I would say, we've experienced stubborn as well with Conte, but I'm all for different managerial styles. Whether you're a micromanager under Conte, I think it's nicer where we have a break from that under Ange. But I do find it frustrating. Your hands in your pockets, fine, but when example, I used it last week and say it again. When you have a drinks break, for whatever reason, injury, they're not meant to do it, but they do it, right? You've got to take the opportunity to get any feedback across your players, whether it be what is happening that's doing well, what they need to improve on. It's just a reminder of the task ahead. However, if you're a big talker you are in training, all that, however it may be, he would say he does always talking before the game, but there's still, I believe, bits in the game that won't quite go to his plan. Brighton's a prime example this year. The game was clearly running away from us when Brighton got that first goal. Then the second goal, you had 2 or 3 warnings, then 3-2, but he hadn't flinched from the 3 of the goals, and we had quite a good bench behind us. Whether you think he can back to that was an impressive bench behind him. So I find that frustrating. And looking at the floor and not making eye contact the interviewer, fine. That's something he's done for a long while, and that's fine. But why make contact? Pre-match he comes in and I'm your favourite, and then after the game for me it's I hate you. Get this done. This is a chore. I hate this part of my job, and it is a real contrast. I always seem to find. Liam, do you find listening to Ange post-match a struggle at the moment, or do you think that's unfair?
I think it's unfair broadly because, to be honest, personally, I do think it's unfair in general for managers to be asked straight after the game. It's emotions hard. Are high. Emotions are high, and honestly, I don't know how they don't say more sometimes. I imagine sometimes they just are more reserved. They just come out with answers they have rehearsed. They just give the bog standard answers, take responsibility, and then once they get into the dressing room, they obviously do what they do with the players, and whether that's having a go at them or whatever. I personally think that part of what Ange's style is take all the responsibility and try and take the pressure off the players. And I think relatively that's worked, because what we're finding is a lot of fans are putting pressure on him as opposed to perhaps on the right people. We all appreciate the players need to step up, but Ange seems to be getting a lot of flack at the moment. As for the chance in the game, obviously Solanke did put the ball in the back of the net. Obviously he scored, but obviously it was handball, if I remember correctly. It's handball, and I feel like at times we can create, and we have periods and spells where we play well. The issue is like a bit like you alluded to, that he's not adapting any strategy or changes based on his opponent. And for me, it reflects that maybe results aren't, and this might sound like a very strange concept, but results aren't just what Ange's looking for. He's looking to try and build a team which is more sustainable. And one thing that he has emphasized a lot is players being able to find their own solutions and creating leaders within the squad organically. Yeah. Whether or not that's just something he's trotting out, but ultimately, that does look like what he is doing. He's leaving the players out there to try and solve their own problems. He's standing there with his hands in his pockets, often not doing much. We've seen him scream and shout at players as well.
When do you step in there as a coach and know that he has got a lot of experience in the game? He's not a young manager or anything. When does he step in? Like that Brighton situation, you give them time to sort it out. I mean, he did make the changes in the end. Obviously, it weren't effective. But when do you go, enough is enough, this is costing us points? I like the idea. If that's the way he looks at it, I think that's really good. But when do you step in for the benefit of the team?
I think that's a difficult one for me to answer. But in terms of that Brighton game, I think it was clear that we were rattled. And I also saw something similar. Do you remember in the Leicester game, very start of the season, when they scored? We were rattled. We couldn't do any, and it was very reminiscent. And they had a second chance where Vardy, I can't remember if Vicario saved it or he just put it wide, or he had a one-on-one with Vicario. And we were very rattled. And we could have easily have lost that Leicester game. We created enough chance in that first half to be winning that game, just like that Brighton game. And suddenly, game flips on its head, and we end up, well, in Brighton, obviously we lost 3-2, but obviously against Leicester we drew. But when do you make changes? Well, quite honestly, within the squad, I feel we lack that really good holding midfielder at times, and that's, I think, partly the composure of the squad is having that Jorginho type figure who can sort of pass the ball around, keep things calm, controlled. We don't have that type of player really.
No, so it's really interesting shouts, and I really do appreciate your insight on that, Liam. From a tactical point of view, it's really interesting. Before we move on to previewing Man City, Lois, would you say that so far this season it feels like one step forward, two steps back, and the Ipswich result and the Brighton result and the Palace result are really epitomise that?
Yeah, because I mean, when you beat a team like Aston Villa, who at home, I mean, a 4-1 win against Aston Villa is a massive, massive result. That is, I mean, you can't understand that. That is such a big win. And then to go and lose to Palace, to go and lose to Ipswich, what was the point of beating Villa in the first place? Because you have to beat the teams below you, or the teams that are in the mid to the bottom part of the table. And then, I mean, you've got to do that realistically to get a top 4 position. You've probably got to beat them home and away. I mean, that's a fact. And then to progress higher, to be the top spot, you have to beat the best teams around you. And we're beating the teams around us, but we can't even beat the teams below us. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, that is a massive problem. And I mean, it's just very annoying. I mean, throwing games where like Brighton, I mean, that's inexcusable. And it's very frustrating how we can beat the Man Cities in the Carabao Cup, you can beat the Villas, you can beat the Manchester United, but the teams that have just been promoted always do you in. I mean, it's very Spursy, I guess. I mean, I hate to throw that word around, but it is. I mean, we're trying to distance ourselves from the words, but when you're losing to Ipswich and you're drawing to Leicester, when these things, Palace, we gave Palace and Ipswich their first wins of the season after 10 games. How is that? How are you letting that happen?
Well, we gave Ipswich their first win in the Premier League for over 2 decades. Yeah,
exactly. It's laughable. I mean, there is no point in beating Villa at home, and then going away and throwing games away Ipswich, Palace, and Brighton. There's no point.
I just can't get my head around that we've lost 5 Premier League games out of 11. We've lost as many as Ipswich Town, who spent the majority of the time in and around the relegation zone until they beat us. That hurts if I think about that. And it hasn't been the easiest run, but it hasn't been the toughest either. Yeah, if we look, we've got Man City coming up. It won't be long before we play Man United, Liverpool, Man United in the Premier League, and in the Carabao Cup. We played them already, but the second fixture comes up quite early. Chelsea coming up. So we haven't had the easiest, but there's been a lot of tougher fixtures in there. So I think it's a surprise to many of us that perhaps we're in 10th. I don't think any of us thought we'd have to start the season we did as the season before, but I don't think we thought we'd lose 5 games. I think it's fair to say out of the first 11. But I'm going to go around the panel now, last thing for City, but whether we're going to win a trophy or not this year. It could be any trophy. It doesn't matter how it's done. So it's just a yes or no, or if you're undecided, then do provide an explanation. Callum, I'll come to you first. I'd love to always catch you out, but I can't, no. Are we going to win a trophy this year, yes or no?
I hope we do.
Right, that's not good enough answer.
Oh, good.
Can we all go for that?
Yeah. So you're going to go with a no, but you hope to be proven wrong.
Yeah, I'd say no, but I hope to be proven wrong.
Okay.
Probably Europa League if we can do it.
Okay, no worries. Lois?
See, I kept saying at the start of the season I thought we'd win the Europa League, and it seems that every week that goes by, the dream you get your hand further away from the trophy. But no, I don't think we will.
Oh, we don't think we will. Oof, okay.
Look, again, it's like Callum. I really want to be proven wrong, and to be honest, I think on paper we are the best team in the Europa League. I think that I think you'd be pretty. I think we are by a mile, really. If you stick our best 11 out on our day, we beat anyone in that competition hands down. But I mean, we'll somehow find a way to mess it up. So,
I'm going to say we will win a trophy. I'm going to be the positive one here, which is very unusual. I think we'll win the Carabao Cup. I think we're unexpectedly get past United, and then you're 2 games away from winning it. That's the way I look at it. Europa League, I think we're getting knocked out. Maybe in the semis against Man United, I'm thinking, or maybe the finals. I agree. I think we slip up, maybe slightly unexpectedly. A couple of hurdles in there. I think Roma, now they're appointed Ranieri, will be a bit difficult. Hoffenheim, I think will cause a few problems. There's a couple of games in there. Rangers away. I think that from now until the end of the group stage, I think we struggle a little bit. I still think we'll get through, don't get me wrong, but I think there'll be a few games in there that we struggle with that maybe sets back a little bit in our long-term kind of vision with the Europa League this season. But Liam, can we win a trophy? You going to join me in saying we can?
I'm going to join you. Yeah, we're winning a trophy.
Yes.
Mate, we set expectations. That's what fans are supposed to be there to set the expectations of their team. We should be winning a trophy. I don't care if we're not top of the Premier League. We just need to be winning a trophy. Like, I don't care if it's a last-minute winner. I don't care if it's a Llorente handball. I don't care. It's just got to go in the back of the net, and that's
it. Doesn't matter, yeah. Goes back to the whole performance result thing. Football's a results-based business. That's what managers are judged on.
I'll take any trophy. I don't mind which one. I'm not fussed. Just the trophy. That was my target for Ange this season. That's what I want to see. I'm not quite similar to you in terms of I do care where we finish in the league to an extent. We can't be finishing 16th. Like, that's just unacceptable. But if we win a trophy, then that's, I guess, one thing off our back. But it won't feel quite right if it's a Carabao Cup. I have to say, Europa League or FA Cup, maybe. But we're gonna win. It's fine.
Going to win now. I like that. That's a good way to end the season so far, I suppose, discussion. We move on to Man City. I'll not focus on the opposition first because we're going to have a City fan on to kind of do this, but we'll kind of do it maybe not in much detail. But Man City come into this game with 4 losses in a row for the first time in Pep Guardiola's career. All away from home, though. I think it's important to note. Liam, I'll come back to you. Do you think the City still can win the title? Because it is early days, isn't it? A lot could change. You see Liverpool, I don't know, going off the boil a little bit, I suppose.
You could never write City off the title. They could be at this point in the season with 0 points, and I still think they could win it. Like, honestly, they're just a machine. Their squad depth is insane. Honestly, I would never write them off the title until until Pep leaves City. They're always going to be in the titles. He's a top quality manager. I think he's probably the best manager to ever manage. So yeah, as long as he's there, they're always going to be challenging. And we've seen Arsenal. What did they have? The longest unbroken run at the top and still didn't win. Yeah, they can do anything.
Yeah, it's just a shame, doesn't it? Callum, do you still back Man City for the title, or do you think that Liverpool are going to maybe storm away with it?
I think that it's Liverpool's title to lose. Let's put it that way. But maybe if it is going to be Pep's last year, if they're out of one cup competition, they'll probably throw another one. They might throw the FA Cup. So that leaves Champions League and Premier League. I mean, they're saying Rodri could be back around about Christmas, potentially 6 months earlier than they first expected.
Wow.
So if he does come back, then it could be something for them. But I mean, like Liam said, any City team most of their players could fit into most top 6 clubs and bowl you over on 9 out of 10 days. So I think City are just a machine, and you can't do anything to stop them unless you get lucky, like we did with Timo Werner having one of his only good games in a Spurs shirt. And he still managed to.
Did you say Rodri is out for now 6 months?
Yeah, that's what I saw a report potentially that he
really
could be back around.
Make a difference to our medical team.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got who is it? Is it Jeff Scott or Jeff Hurst as our head doctor, and all of our sports scientists can't manage to magic a medical bag out. Let's put it this way: they somehow. Well, actually, just going back on the Ange thing, have you guys noticed how many hamstring injuries we are getting? It's been ridiculous.
It's got to be system, isn't it? The pace and the high line.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying we could lose Richarlison. He was only meant to be out for a couple of weeks. Now he could be out till February or March.
I think that's just Richarlison, though. I like him, but he's just injured.com for me. And it just, I mean, he's always going to be. I think he was at Everton. He's at it even more us. But of course, the element of it is system related. But I think Odegaard's concerning. The length of time he's out. Van der Ven, I think it's just the way that he plays. He relies on pace. So some of it is individual and some of it is his system. I think you've got a little mix in there, obviously. Not all for the good. But Lois, what have you made of Man City's start of the season? Obviously, they've lost a few games in all competitions, but is it too early to panic for a Manchester City fan?
I don't think any Manchester City fans panicked. I think they're not too fussed. I mean, they already know that when it comes to about January, they turn into their best team. Or they turn into, I don't know. I mean, when it gets about January, February, they've gone on their 15 win streak. So, I mean, they could lose the next 5 games. They'll probably still win the league. So it does not matter. I mean, the Man City are that good. And no, I'm not too concerned. I mean, as a Spurs fan, we kind of are part-time Man City fans as well, hoping that they do win the league. So, I mean, hopefully they can win the league. I mean, they better win the league. I mean, I don't really care about Liverpool. I mean, if they win it, they win it. I mean, it's that I've met 0 Man City fans in my whole life, so it really does not affect me if they win the league or not.
Appreciate the honesty.
They're just Chelsea fans with inside-out shirts, aren't they? They just change it round whenever they decide what they're playing.
I think the only time City are panicked is when they play us. Pretty much guaranteed to pretty much lose a game.
Yeah, it's annoying, right? If we played Man City 38 times at home, we'd actually win the league, and we'd actually take maximum points, which is actually quite frustrating.
Do you think it's the same though under Ange, or do you think it was a system thing with old managers that we had? Obviously, the results under Ange haven't been awful, but I think a big part to our success was having Nuno, Conte and Mourinho in particular, who knew how to outfox Pep Guardiola.
I mean, it wasn't even that. I mean, even the Champions League when we went to the final. I mean, Pochettino, we somehow did that as well. I mean, we've just got a thing against Man City. I don't know what's happened, but I mean, we're just
you do have it. You do have it. Certain games and certain teams that always perform against others. It's interesting.
But we went to the Etihad with Emerson Royale and Ben Davis at centre back.
Yeah, we done well.
We
drew 3-3.
That's enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I think it's just
really good result.
I think it's more City style, isn't it? They play a lot more open, so it gives us space to move into. They play quite a high line as well, so we can play through the lines with it compared to every other team in the Premier League when they stack up with a low block and we can't find any creativeness around it. It's just City try and play the same style as us and we're just kind of better than them in a lot of aspects when we do come up against them. It's just
he's not stopping though, is he, Pep? I think Pep's more flexible and puts players in different positions, shows that side to his game. That's why I think he's a big winner. Rather than his necessary style, as good as it is, I think he's flexible. His in-game management is superb. Fine margins. There's little things, those details for me with Pep. I go that's differentiates him. I've watched the City documentary, All or Nothing, and that for me just showed why he is, if you didn't know already, the best coach for me in world football. So another level of care. You could go and beat Real Madrid 6-0, but it's not good enough for him. He's not quite satisfied there. Not ready to rest. So I love that from him. But from a Spurs point of view, going into this game, Lois, how are we feeling ahead of this one? Obviously, we can't really afford to lose another game. We don't want to be in the bottom half. Do you feel confident away from home, though?
Yes. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's very
Be honest.
I'll be honest. If we went away to any other team in the Premier League as of right now, I think we'd lose. But it's Man City, so I think we get at least a point. I mean, that's stupid to say, right? But I mean, somehow it is factual to me.
It doesn't sound right, but I know what you mean.
No, because our away record in 2024 is absolutely horrific.
Dire.
But I mean, one of the two. I mean, in 2024, we've drawn there already. We haven't lost. So I mean, we will. I don't think we'll lose. I generally do not think we'll lose. But I mean, I think it's just a case of, are we going to be as good as Man City when Man City are at home? Probably not. I think it'll be one of them ones we hang in there and scrape a draw.
Hang in there and scrape a draw. I'll take that right now.
Yeah,
Callum, definitely. Callum, how are you feeling ahead of this one?
It could be better. But someone against probably City would be the option that I would take for it. So if we can go against City and get at least a draw, I think we'd take the points hands down on it this time around. And if we can get something, it might make the loss against Ipswich a little bit better.
We're going to win this, aren't we? And then we're going to lose to someone like Bournemouth coming up. We can just see it already. But I don't know. It's frustrating. We actually are up for these big games, but away from home, it does worry me a little bit. But Liam, how are you feeling? You've been the optimist tonight, which I really do admire. How do you feel going into this one?
Well, there's better positions to be in, I would have to say, going away to City. I know we're sort of their bogey team, but yeah, you never know. Like, if a really good City team turn up, they could just demolish us. Like, quite frankly, it could happen. But
is it a good or bad time to play them? In terms of they've lost 4 games in a row, they're looking for a response, but they're in bad form. No, I don't think it is.
I don't think it's a good time to play them, just because I don't think it's a stat.
When is a good time? Is there ever a good time?
Yeah, exactly.
When you're
I agree with you. There's never a good time to play City. For us, it's always a good time. Yeah. I think, when it comes to Spurs away from home, especially against a team like City, we've just got to go there and do what we normally do. We've got to go there, bring the fight, not part of the bus. We'll get chances, I have no doubt about it. It's just whether or not we can stick that away. Hopefully, Son's fit. He normally likes playing against them. I think one real big factor in this game will be Haaland. I know he doesn't do a lot in the entire game, but he sticks the ball in the back of the net. And that's something I'm not looking forward to Ben Davies competing against Eric Dyer. Not Eric Dyer. God. Ben Davies competing against Erling Haaland. Not looking forward to that. But or even Radu, to be honest. I'm looking forward to it, to be honest.
Okay. We'll move on to lineup, and I'll start with you, Liam. And we mentioned it there. Van de Ven and Romero could both miss this game. We don't know ahead of this at the time of recording this podcast, if you like. But I would say that Van de Ven's maybe more likely than Romero. We heard originally that Van de Ven probably this game, but I don't know. Will they want to take that risk after what's happened to Romero? Will Romero take the risk? I don't think so. So what would be your team?
Okay. Obviously, we've got Big Vic in goal. And then I would probably just stick with Radu and Davis. I don't want to risk putting Van de Ven out there if he's not fit. This is a game where I know we can never afford to lose a game, but City away for anyone's a tough game, regardless if we're their bogey team or not. I would put Ben Davis out there. Udogie, Porro, standard. Basuma's going to have to play. Then we're going to see Kulusevski, Sarr, and then front three will be Brennan, Solanke, and Son. That's what I think the team will be.
I'll be tempted to put Archie Gray midfield and see how he does. For me, he's stepped up at most opportunities, but I don't like to see him at fullback. I think it could be a good game for him, a good tactical battle. Could find holes in that City defence. I was kind of thinking about how we could double up, like Rico Lewis plays, for example. I was wondering if Archie Gray could work with Kulusevski on that side, work with Porro, and try and utilise that area of the pitch. Because Kulusevski's delivery, I think, is key to getting the most out of people like, of course, Johnson, backstick maybe, but I was thinking more Solanke as well. So I think in terms of chances, I think that's
be good to see
maybe we could do something. Yeah, I don't think you start, but I was thinking with Bentancur out.
Yeah.
I think would have, for me, started this game. But nice, interesting to hear. Thank you very much. Lois, what would your lineup be? Any changes from what you've heard from Liam?
Probably not. I mean, obviously it does definitely depend on the centre-back situation, and if Romero somehow deems himself to be 100% fit, then he might be in there. I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty. I think Liam's spot on, really. I mean, to be honest, I think I don't know if it's me, but I generally think Archie Gray's actually been better at right back than Porro this season. I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one that shares that view. I mean, obviously, I'm guessing he plays in probably lesser important games. I mean, like Europa League and Carabao Cup. I don't know, but I mean, our fullback's just not been there this season.
Do you think Gray lacks that defensively, back stick, kind of losing his man? I don't think it's his fault, but he's asked to play a position that he doesn't naturally play in.
Well, no, but I don't think Pedro Porro is a natural good defender anyway. I mean, so yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's very weird. I mean, last season our fullbacks got a lot of goal contributions, and our fullbacks have just not done that at all this season. So I don't know why that is. But I mean, they still get really high, but I mean, they just don't really get involved in the play as much, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Maddison is going to be playing or starting that game, which is very interesting. Well, it's not interesting, but it is interesting the fact that, I mean, what is the situation with Maddison? I really do not know. But it is weird. I mean, he might get frustrated that he's not getting any game time. But yeah, I think front three speaks for itself, and squad depth starting to be a bit of an issue now, I think.
I think Son will be fit. There's no reason why he shouldn't be. But if he's not, or going forward, can Maddison play on that left side? I was thinking that against Villa, that might have suited him coming inside a little bit. I think that's something that maybe we could be open to. I'm not sure. Callum, what would your lineup be to take on City?
Probably be the same that the guys have said. Davis and Dragu with Udogie, Porro, Vic, probably Basuma in that 6 role with Sarr and Kulusevski, Son left, Johnson right, Solanke up top. The bench, we're going to be scraping around pretty much the barrel, to say the least. Who does that give you? Spence, Bergvall, Gray, Werner, and then the rest of it's got to be youth players, isn't it? And Fraser Forster. I mean, do you get stuck with Reguilon on the bench? That's how bad it is. Yeah, hopefully
he should be back, surely. Virus for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
he should be all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what does that leave you? So, pretty much Mikey Moore, Lancashire. The options are so poor, at least for wingers wise. We've got one fit winger and a youth winger. Then that doesn't inspire too much confidence. And then Maddison. That's literally, we are down to the bare bones with so many players out at the moment.
Who's that on? Is it on the ownership for not doing enough in the window before? Is it down to being unlucky with injuries? Bit of both?
Yeah, I think a bit of both, and the fact that we probably should have shipped on Richarlison and bought someone who was actually fit enough to actually compete for more than 5 games a season, to say the least. I mean, the thing is, he's such a great player when he gets on the pitch and on form. But I mean, what does he come back for 10 minutes, does something great, and then pulls his hamstring and all that? So I mean, what does
It's infuriating.
then...
It must be for him. I get annoyed with him, but I think it must be even worse for him being in his position. That's why I think to myself, it's not. He doesn't choose to be like that.
And that's the thing. And then you got someone like Timo Werner who has about as much confidence as nothing, who has all the attributes to be an Ange winger, apart from the main thing at the end product. I mean, couldn't hit a barn door from 2 yards out, can he? So I mean, that doesn't. When he comes on as the first sub against City, that's really not going to inspire me to say that we're going to win. Let's put it that way.
Fair enough. Score predictions to start with then. Mr. Stubbs, we'll start with you first. What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2? Okay. Lewis?
Yeah.
I was going to say 2-2, but have to be different. Yeah, Barney's right. I'll go 1-1.
Going 1-1, okay. So 2 draws. I mean, no, I'd take that at this moment in time for me. Absolutely. Take it, move on to the next one, galvanise and go again. Liam, score prediction. I've got a feeling you might go for a little win.
Oh, I was thinking a draw, but now that everyone's going for draws, I'm going to go for a win. So let's go for 2-1. Let's go for 2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Spurs.
I don't know if I genuinely believe that, but we'll go with it.
What do I think? I absolutely dreaded it going into the game, to be totally honest with you. I think City will win 3-2, but I think we'll fight, as we've talked about, and I think we'll put a real good effort in and maybe be unlucky not to come away with anything. I think we'll show some heart. I think we have a lot of players out, so I think it might be a better performance at least. So I suppose it's positive to take out of it. But I think that kind of wraps us up nicely for this week's episode of the Scarfey Spurs Talk Podcast. So thank you very much. A lot of you just joining now, so feel free to go back to the start of the show and go over anything you missed. We had lots of discussions, whether it be about the ownership, about recent topics, do with Bentoncourt, club logo, you name it. So go check it out. If you are listening on a podcast platform, don't forget to drop us a follow and a 5-star review, assuming you enjoyed what you heard and have been hearing, however long you may be listening for. But if you are listening as well on YouTube, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It is free to do so, and it helps the show, the channel, you name it, grow. So we really do appreciate it. And as always, thank you to the Kitman and Security VPN for sponsoring the show. Thanks to my panel, what I call an emergency panel put together tonight. The show must always go on, and it did in style. So Callum, thank you very much. Firstly, obviously co-host Parkland Podcast, Scarfey Spurs Talk. So where can people find you? I mean, I've kind of given it away there.
No, cheers for having me on, mate. Obviously, like you said, emergency panel, like your emergency spray tan today, that you went and got for the Football Content Awards.
Oh, I thought you'd forgotten about that. I have not.
Oh, no, I had to get in there, mate. But no, cheers for having me on as always, mate. And obviously, you can find me on Wednesday's show for Premier League preview, and you can always find me on Sundays, hopefully, for Park Lane Podcast as well. Cheers again.
Yeah, about Wednesday. We'll have a discussion about that now. I'm only joking. It's the lighting. Not get people on my case about what I have and haven't had done. Thank you very much, Mr. Stubbs. You should know by now. But no, thank you very much. Go check out, of course, Parkland Podcast used to be part of the channel. Good channel, good guys, and doing really well at the moment. And of course, check Callum out on all socials. Liam, thank you very much. You made your debut this evening, a really solid debut. So thank you. It'd be a pleasure to have you back on if you'd like to come back. Where can people find you across social media?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been good to talk to you guys. In terms of where you can find me, it's on Twitter or X. So yeah, it's at my there, which is Liam's Talks Ball. And yeah, I'll see you there if you decide to. If you don't like my opinions, then see, that's what normally people let me know if they don't like my opinions. And there's a lot.
That's X for you.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think that's anything that's going to change, even if people try and divert to different platforms. But thank you very much for coming on, Liam. Talking about the platforms, we are on Blue Sky if you're interested, but also will remain on X. It's just the Scarfey Spurs Talk page and talking about, of course, my socials as well. So you've got an option there, depending how you view the whole social media situation. But Lois, thank you very much as always for coming on. Where can people find you? Of course, you say it every time, so I'm going to say it for you this time. You're not active on your own personal socials, but for people to follow it anyway, and of course the wonderful work you do on the channel. I mean, Callum does no work, does he? It's all us two.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think he's happy about that. I don't know if you should have said that. He's not very happy, is he? Yeah, I mean,
right.
If anyone wants to follow me,
where
as
can I
you've
get
already
spray
said,
tan
I'm not...
like you, H? Where can I get spray tan like you? What shop did you go to?
We're talking about your bald head then. Right, go on, Les.
I was going to say, no, but if you want to follow me on...
Sorry, Liam. That's bad to be that.
If you want to follow me on
don't worry about me. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not got any hair.
Oh.
What's the point?
Yeah, go check Lois out. Romero 17 season, but of course he's the admin as well for the Scarfey Spurs Talk page and does incredible work. So does Callum, pains me to admit it, but no, he does do a good job at hosting the secondary string Premier League podcast on a Wednesday night. But no, he's going well, and Callum's a key part of that. So Callum, thank you very much. Send me in the doghouse. Haven't been mind up yet, but no, thank you to everyone who's listening. Hopefully the next time you'll be hearing from us in a podcast point of view when it comes to Spurs, we'll be talking about a positive result against Man City, but you just never know with Spurs. We could win this, we could lose this, we could draw this. That's the beauty of being a Spurs fan. It's a roller coaster ride. Get behind it, get behind the team, and a massive comedy Spurs.